Hi, welcome to Easier Habits, your 8 a.m. Central Business live stream. I'm Alec from Easier Habits, a business growth consultant.
And I'm Meg. I am a global English communication coach.
So we're still covering ads, and the ads will continue until morale improves. So we'll give you updates after Meg's communication tip.
Yeah, so I was trying to think about what to do for my communication tip today because I feel like I've, started to cover a lot of the basics. And then I realized I've only been talking about verbal communication.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked at all about written communication. And English spoken word and English written word are surprisingly different. It's not quite as extreme as like if you speak Cantonese and, write in like traditional Chinese characters or whatever. Apparently that's supposed to be really different. But the language that we use when we write has to be a lot more precise and a lot more articulate, I feel like, than when we speak. Honestly, with people that I'm coaching, I try to help them use the most basic English possible to get their message across. It's really good to be concise and straightforward when you're talking with someone, because if they do have questions, they can ask you or you can clarify or something like that. And it's less about using these big fancy words that sound kind of strange when we're talking, and more just about that kind of interpersonal aspect. With writing, however, it's really different because you only have one shot and they don't hear your voice. They don't, have as much of your intention. And so that's where I feel like complex English and a large vocabulary will really help you, because you can use the right word for the right thing, as opposed to using the word big, right? Well, how was it big? Was it, ginormous? Was it just slightly large? Was it vast and open? Or was it, like hugely tall or something? There's a lot of, different ways something could get big. Same thing with the word good, right? How is it good? Is it fun good? Is it like happy good? Is it enjoyable good? Is it, I don't know. And so when you are writing, that's when I always have a thesaurus open next to me, because even in my native language, there are times when the word that I'm looking for isn't coming. Or I'm like, okay, I want to use this kind of word, but I've used that word recently, so let me try to use a different one. And I go to the thesaurus, and there's all kinds of words there that give, me examples, and I can kind of go back and forth to make sure that that has the right nuance for what I'm looking for. And so in a non-native language, it's a little bit harder because you can't just go to a thesaurus and say, that looks like a good word, because if you don't know the nuance, you could end up using the wrong words. And I've seen that happen a lot. Or people either use a dictionary definition of something they've looked up or a thesaurus word that isn't quite the right one.
There's some great student essays that you've graded.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, but that's the thing though. Yeah. Well, we'll say great as in some of them got like a little bit ridiculously unintentionally inappropriate.
Yep.
And so it's important to work on that, but don't, I guess, run faster than you're ready for. Okay, so make sure as you use those new words that you are getting the right nuance. There's other tools that can help with that. I usually use this thing called reverso context, which will show the word in my non-native language. It'll show various examples in my native language so I can see kind of the feel that it has and how it's being used. But yeah, just pay attention to that. Pay attention to when you write. You have to worry about your grammar. I'm sorry. You don't have to worry as much when you speak, but when you write, unless you're texting, you've got to think about it, because people will notice when they're reading as opposed to when they're just listening to you. So that's my tip for the day. There's a lot of stuff that makes writing different, and I'll dive into some more of the specifics, but yeah, vocabulary especially, and grammar are very important.
Awesome. Well, that is fantabulous. So the ad update would be, I was working on my checklist yesterday, but I made fixing up your funnel the priority. So you have the PDF, and we now should have a working system where if you land on the page that offers a free pitch template, you put your email in, you get an email with a link to the PDF, which does work. And then just this morning we fixed the fact that the thank you page that you then get sent to is the VSL, the video sales letter, that explains a little bit about how to use the template and then invites you to schedule a free session. And there's also a follow-up email a week later just asking, how did the pitch go? Did you have any questions? Would you like to schedule a free practice session? So that way people have a couple of chances to try out the pitch and then reconnect with you.
Yeah. And it's interesting just because, you think, okay, I've done this thing, it's done, but there's always other steps in there. So like the testing of things and the thing that he was seeing when he went through it was different from what I was seeing, and I was just trying to explain it. So screenshot everything always. It's just easier to communicate that way if you're not in the same room. But yeah, being able to figure all of that out and get it finished, I'm excited to start like posting this and getting people to, try and see. I sent so originally I'd written that was like that big chapter or whatever. I pared it down to just the template and then an example and a little bit about myself, and then sent that to a few people yesterday, and I've gotten some really good feedback about like, wow, this is awesome. I still think it's definitely not comprehensive, and it's going to be more for an advanced speaker, but it's a great place to start, and I feel like that's a good thing.
Yep.
So
yeah, and I realized mentally I've been preparing for one suboptimal outcome, right? And it's the common one that like, all right, your funnel has a clog in it, I guess, for the analogy, right? That there's some point at which people don't get through. As I was thinking about this, I realized like it's a smaller chance, and it's a good thing. We could just cross that bridge when we get there, but there is the off chance that like, all right, people really like the pitch, like having an English pitch template if you want to pitch your project in English as a non-native speaker for free is kind of a no-brainer. Like there's some,
right?
How much trust do they have, but how much trust do you need to have to download a free one?
Right, exactly.
Just enough to put in your email. And then getting to practice that with an English communication coach for free, also kind of a no-brainer. Depending on how much time you have, you might be too busy to do that.
Yeah.
But the one thing that could be, or at least when the funnel is working, actually, I guess I could say this, we will inevitably hit the opposite suboptimal approach, which is that you will get lots of people taking you up, and you will get lots of interviews, and you'll have to figure out whether those interviews are actually translating into sales.
Yeah.
So that is something. As we start ramping up ads and trying this out and fixing the funnel, which I'm sure we'll have to do, something to think about will be, we've talked about that, but actually like practicing how those interviews convert into sales.
Yeah, and that's also one of the things, that I was focusing so much on getting this, template done and everything, that then yesterday after I sent that off to you, my brain kind of stalled just a little bit, as in like, what do I do next? I'm not sure. Also, someone's saying hi to us on the chat. I don't know if that's a real person or a bot, but I hope they're a real person. If they are, hi.
Hi.
So yeah, it's one of those things where I had to go through and start writing out all of the stuff that I could do next, so that I could figure out what would be the next best step. So I've got the different platforms that I need to start sharing things on, as well as like options, as far as posting older content that I've done, recordings that exist out there from Global Republic rooms on Clubhouse, making new video stuff, finding old video stuff that I did back in the day. And so that's kind of now where I have to figure out how to keep this momentum of effort that I have. And so hopefully I'll be able to.
So how are you, Meg?
How am I?
Just from the chat.
How am I? I'm a little bit like crazy, honestly. Not in like an insane way, but just maybe a little bit an insane way.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those things where I feel like this has been such a big week of growth, and it's a little bit scary, but also good, right? There's always the part of me that, you know, when a big change is happening, that I don't necessarily trust it, but it's been really good, and I'm excited for Christmas. I'm excited to see my family. I get to go out to Utah this evening, and it'll be the first time all of my siblings have been together for so long. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I'm also, you know, terrified that this isn't going to work, or that people are going to think like, Meg, your stuff is poops. And with those exact words.
Or emojis,
right? Exactly. Which Japanese people do use more emojis than Americans do, from my experience. But yeah, like in general, it's good. And the biggest thing for me is just to keep that mindful space, to be able to say, okay, whatever happens, and I'm kind of trusting in the process and the learning that will come from the process.
Awesome. That's a good check-in. And thank you, everything here, for signing into the chat. That was our goal, to get a non-spam bot in the chat. So that's fun. Thank you. And responding to your plan, what's next, that's great. I love that you finished that and you started thinking about what comes next. I think the content plan, the marketing plan is a big key to that. And I think there's two directions, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to weight them. I think with this pitch, since you've been getting positive feedback, probably the number one priority would be create pitch-related content, right?
Okay.
So like of all the content, right, we're still focused on the pitch, and then drill down that, like what other specific problems, what problems does the template not solve, or what problems do they have around the pitch, etc. And so that would be a good example of like, don't produce another textbook quality resource around that, but like snippets. And I think we had a video where we went through a content tip a little while back. I think we even have the snippet, like how to produce ideas for social media marketing or something. I forget what I named the video. But I pulled that out in a snippet where I talk about the process of you identify the problem, then you drill down to the sub-problems, and then you take a look at several different types of content.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so we got the pitch problem. What are the problems? There's the words to say. There's the body language, right? How do you project confidence in your pitch? That would be a great sub-problem, right? And then you say, hey, if you'd like a free template in English so you can practice with, practice the words to say with the confidence, right? Go here. And so like that type of drilling down. And then you can, even once you have a sub-problem, you could drill down by like several types of content and see what resonates with your audience the most. You could have an article, you could do a short video, you could do 7 things to pitch more confidently listicle, right? And so even that one sub-problem, you could probably produce a few different media around it, and maybe you'd alternate, one day one sub-problem, another day another sub-problem, but like over the span of a couple weeks, you can still put out like several items of kind of relating to confidence in pitching, and several items in networking and pitching, or whatever the sub-problems are. So like drilling down on that, and then just everywhere you're posting saying, here's a free template, then that would start to build a big organic following that drives to your funnel. And so like ads are great because you can rev them up and ramp them down, but free inquiries are even better. And then if you get so full up in the wonderful future where you get so many interviews that it's hard to handle, we can introduce friction later. But like building that momentum would be a great thing.
Yeah.
And then the side thing to do, I think, like cordon off 10% of your time and you can worry about this like after you get back from your trip.
Yes.
But, you know, another thing to look forward to is like, all right, this is one experiment to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And so start building out your library of offers to see what resonates the most with your target audience.
That makes sense.
And specifically, I mean, I don't know the places to go to do this, and it's probably going to be in Japanese, so I would not be the ultimate person to do, but you don't have to guess in the dark. This is kind of constructed not entirely from the dark, from like people you've talked to and worked with, but in terms of market research, this is where market research does help, and then trying to engage in, you know, with find a group of Japanese entrepreneurs or business people who are interested in business English, for example, right? That would be a great example of someone who's likely to be in your target community if you can find that somewhere.
Yeah.
And then just look for their questions.
Yes.
Try and find like, well, what types of things are they having the most problem with? And like business English, I think like a Japanese person looking at business English is really going to be key for you, because that's where you're going to find their concerns about English in particular that you can help them with.
For sure.
There might be some concerns to the side regarding, you know, just general business stuff that you could also help them with that they might not think to put in business English, but like by and large, that's probably the phrase or the interest to target the most to kind of get your core audience.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is really good because I feel like, you know, historically when I hit this point of I just finished a thing, my brain would like go off into la la land as far as there's so many things I could do, and it's like epic brainstorming and research for weeks before any actual execution. And so what I really like with this is, okay, let's, you know, focus in on the actual concrete actions and steps that I can do. And I really like the idea of trying, you know, the different offers that are pitch related. One thing that Japanese people really struggle with in particular is English pronunciation. So just an audio file of my example pitch, right?
Yep.
You know, and then I could have like a video that shows what I look like, but you know, have different, and there's different levels that like an audio file will take maybe 20 minutes to record, edit, and post, you know, as a piece of content somewhere. And so doing that makes it feel a lot more manageable. But then also, you know, when I look at the different things that I'll be going for in the future, what is going to be most helpful for people, and having that target audience, that target group that I can either, you know, find out where they are and ask them, or look at the answers to their questions. It just helps narrow my focus, because otherwise I might have a tendency to be like, let's see, what would I do if these were beginners or children, or, you know, like, you know, find different avatars completely, which is not what I want to be doing right now. So.
Right. And to make that a little bit more concrete, for instance, a good goal that might be achievable would be creating, and again, scope this to what you can get done today.
Yes.
But create and schedule 5 posts for next week, right? So you're releasing something every week, and that probably, like I talk about process beats strategy, right? As we think about ways to drive organic traffic or test out other content, you know, content, it's practicing your marketing voice.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons releasing small snippets of content every day become really powerful. So that is that would be a good way to take this, add momentum to it, and then also make it like a bite-sized process chunk that can improve and then grow your audiences. You might especially think about, you know, which network are you going to focus on. Facebook, it sounds like.
Facebook and Instagram, I know, would both be good ones.
Right.
And one of the great things with Instagram and Facebook is that, like, they're all interconnected. So you can basically make a post on Instagram and it'll post to your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your Twitter. And so it'll do all of them. It's really great. You know, there's always that part of me that wonders, like, if I post to all of them and people are seeing that same piece of content on different platforms, are they going to get annoyed?
I really don't think so. One, because people use different networks differently.
Yeah, that's true.
And so there's that. And then two, a lot of times people just need multiple exposures
Yeah.
before they get into something. So like actually seeing it twice
Yeah.
is probably, if they're interested in the subject, is a good reminder. And so I'd absolutely repost. Eventually, there are differences between content, like you will have a different Twitter post than a Facebook optimized post than an
Yes.
Instagram post, like
Sure.
the format, and that is something to think through. But especially if you're getting started, I would just say like post consistently
Yeah.
and share to all your networks, but like design it for the one you're trying to get the most traction in,
That makes sense.
or that is the most successful for you.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's probably going to come once I've had a little bit more experience
Yep.
knowing which one does get me more traction. So which one should I focus on? So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's something for me as we're setting all this up. I didn't worry about analytics, and that is definitely something that there's like some of that comes baked in. I know how many people sign up for emails and emails that get sent out, etc. And then we'll know obviously if people actually create calendar invites or whatever via your Calendly. So like, it's not like we're not going to know the basics.
Yeah.
We're going to know them, but there's a lot of power that can come when you get hooked everything up. For instance, if Facebook is one of your major advertising areas, then getting the Facebook pixel on your website and in your Instagram means that I can now do ads that Facebook optimizes for how many people convert, not just how many people click through, right? There's all these little things. I don't worry about them when the issue is just like, just get something up and running.
Yeah.
And try and get someone there, but eventually, like, there are all lots of these little fine implementations that you kind of skip over to get the thing done and get it out faster, that you can go back and hook up and optimize for. But there's not a lot of point in worrying about analytics if you don't have a funnel for people to go through in the first place.
Yep. So it's nice to have kind of that step-by-step process, and we're making our way through it. It's great.
Yep. I should make a list of the things that I've been putting off, or like my to-do list. So business tip, and this is actually a little bit from yesterday. I mentioned that it would be a good business tip. I've been working with Eli. Oh, dang it.
Too
All
late.
right. Yeah. I've been working with my oldest kid on how to edit video, and he's doing pretty well. He's got like the video editing itself, although the judgment of like where to start and end the clip, which I knew is like the squishiest bit in there, is still a little challenging for him. And so if I don't introduce like, this is the business tip, then he has to listen carefully and think, wait, did that start there or there? So even for an adult, like, there would be some judgment and question. But for the most part, a lot of being able to scale your work is being able to put things into a step-by-step format. If you don't know something well enough to write out all the individual steps, like so that basically a computer could do it, then basically you are not going to get the results that you want. If you are trying to either one, program it, you're just going to have a lot of frustration, or get somebody else to do it, etc. And so I've done this before with interns, where I had an intern who had done like marketing and community outreach for something, and I'm like, yeah, just do what you did before. And that was they didn't really, I guess, have a process for anything they did before. And so, I had to go backwards and be like, all right, with this piece of content, share it to these networks in this manner, etc. I have this step-by-step level. Doing that for yourself will make you more efficient. It will help you understand your business, and then it will allow you to either find tools to automate steps in that process, or, pass that step-by-step process off to someone else. I'm trying to do this with market research. It's harder with some tasks than others, right?
Yeah, I can imagine.
So there's an algorithm, for example, that you could do with market research, which is go to these websites search for keyword, look at, comments here, look at related phrases here, look at, whatever, like look specifically in Amazon for the reviews that are like 2 to 4 and less like the, zero, ones and fives. Yeah. The ones and fives who are just kind of extreme and, glowing, or even had this like unusually bad experience, or sometimes it's not even that bad experience. They're just really miffed they had, any issues at all. And they're like, I hate having to think about this. Yeah. And so like the 2 to 4s are going to be more measured and more nuanced. So like that kind of thing can be put more into an algorithm. And it's certainly easier, like faster for me to do that if I have my own step-by-step guide, or I have basically a marketing template, for example, that I use that has the different tabs with the different types and the different columns with the type of information that I take down, that makes it into more of an automated process. So like, for instance, on Tuesday when I wasn't feeling well, it's easy enough for me to go through that because it's almost mechanical. I have these steps and I have a spreadsheet and I copy comments into that spreadsheet that I can, take a few notes on while I'm doing that, but mostly like analyze and rehash later when I'm ready for thinking.
Yay!
So that process of taking a skill you're working on or a business process you're working on and putting it down to concrete steps will help you learn it, help you do it more efficiently, will help you identify gaps, and will help you eventually scale that so you can either outsource it or hire someone or automate it so that you can work on that. But that's pretty critical. You might be tempted as just a gotcha to outsource something, pay someone else to do marketing for you, for example, if you're not comfortable with marketing. And we look forward to trying to pay someone to do marketing, but at the same time, there are some things that are core to your business. Yeah. So how you produce your product or service, how you market it, how you sell it. I feel like legal and tax issues are less central to the business, so you can probably outsource them without a complete understanding, but you should understand business finance. Like the cash flow, you absolutely do need to understand that piece of. And so there are pieces of your company that even if you start to outsource them, you should understand how they work, and you should have gone through this process. And so the value in what we're doing to bring that home, right? If we just paid someone to be like, hey, get us leads with qualified Japanese businessmen who are looking to expand to a global audience, or businesswomen who are looking to expand to a global audience, and you go find them, then you will not have practiced your pitch, you won't know what resonates with people, you won't know how to find them. So like all the work we're doing now, even if we outsource, is pretty critical to you understanding how your business works, so that you're not left in the lurch if whatever, like the business used to market goes down, or they're not effective, or whatever. Like you are in control of your own business.
I like that. I like being in control.
Yep. All right, I guess that's it for today. Until tomorrow, make big changes one small habit at a time.
Bye.
And I'm going to fill time because this is going to get cut off if I click end stream right now. So just a reminder, like, subscribe. Also, we got a question in the chat. How are you guys? That's great. That's a first. So we are going, but we'd love to have more questions, comments, so join us at 8 a.m. Central every weekday. We will be live next week, and then after that, I will figure out how to do, I don't know, like a scheduled holiday-themed shorts. We'll see how that goes. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.